You got a gorgeous suit.
Called this meeting of council to order here at City Hall, December 7th, 2021. Are there additions to the agenda this evening?
Need to add the zoning before department heads.
Okay.
I would like to add a 5-minute executive session, attorney-client.
Are there any other additions to the agenda this evening? Okay. Entertain a motion.
So moved.
I have a motion and a second on the table. All in favor, raise your hand. Motion carries. Are there any citizens' comments this evening? Okay, consent agenda. Approved minutes. Regular city council meeting, December 16th, 2021.
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second on the table. Any more discussion? All in favor, raise your hand. Motion carries. Appropriation ordinance 12/7/2021 in the amount of $102,564.77.
So moved. Second.
I have a motion and a second on the table. Any discussion? All in favor, raise your hand. Motion carries. Petty cash in the amount of $329.40.
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second on the table. Any discussion? All in favor, raise your hand. Motion carries. Stannion in the amount of $3,108.87.
So moved.
I have a motion on the table. Is there a second?
Yeah, what is all
What
this?
is this for?
It's just
Yeah.
monthly expenses. It's an order that exceeded. Just the name of it.
Looks like some wire. Maybe project or just.
Wondered. Jason, do you know, is this stuff they used on that line they put in?
What stuff is it?
Yeah, he did it.
Looks like 444 aluminum.
Would have been the
Top
project.
insulators,
Impact
Impact
drivers.
If he didn't have it over here, he just probably replaced his stock maybe.
Well, we picked it up, so I'll second.
I guess he needs it.
Okay, I have a motion and a second on the table. Any more discussion? All in favor, raise your hand. Motion carries. Honeywell in the amount of $10,659.80.
is this one for our treatment facility?
Treatment facility, like a subscription or something, contract or,
I think it's a contract for
Yeah,
the yearly,
yeah, okay.
for their support or whatever. So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second on the table. Any discussion? All in favor, raise your hand. Motion carries. Okay. We have zoning at this time.
So we had the zoning hearing for the properties down on South Pearl and Bowie. She says Marchborough. And the recommendation from the zoning committee is to not make any changes with the used car lot. They received several concerns with citizens that live down there, and I believe even other citizens as well. And we have 2 zoning board members here tonight to represent if you guys have any questions with the recommendation that they're making.
I guess was it made
of what the citizens, was that kind
Yeah.
of what determined the main?
I went outside the, was it 150 feet or two, and talked to not all the citizens down there, but 4 or 5 people down there, and they did not like the, they didn't want to see the car lot and machinery and truck lot in their neighborhood. So on that, we made a recommendation, and the county commissioners had earlier, due to the traffic and stuff in Stafford County, had turned down a trailer sales, I don't know exactly where it was at, earlier this
It
year.
was a, wasn't in a rural area,
Yes,
not in a.
yes, and they was
in a
worried about
city,
traffic
right?
and stuff there too. So we kind of based off that with the citizens of in the community.
Since those lots right
No,
up there.
she has a marker on. I don't
Oh.
know why.
No.
When I was looking, I was like, I'm not on the
I was gonna
right
say,
one.
it should be a block north.
Yeah, it's right here.
Block north, yeah.
Right, it should be those 4 and those 4, I think.
TJ, what's your plan, I guess, to do? I mean, were you gonna build a building and just use vehicles? What's,
Yeah, that was my plan is to, was to put a building up, clean the lots up, you know, take the rundown trailer house out that's there, fix up the little shed that's there so I can use it, and do some automotive, pickups, farm equipment, things like that, and use that to sell my inventory, so.
Yeah, I'd hate to, turn down anybody that's young that wants to come back and start a new business in town, but, maybe that's not quite the right spot, TJ. Right residential area.
you guys don't have anything else that could be available a little later on? Like, better location?
For the land bank.
Right now, everything we have is completely surrounded by, I mean, it's right in the middle of housing, residential areas.
Yeah, that would be the best spot the land bank has, I guess in my opinion. As far as a commercial property.
Right.
And the south lot is, butts up against the co-op. TJ said he'd forget the north lot tonight, that we had our meeting, and focus on the south lot at that point too.
So all that right there is residential, is that right?
Everything around it, like he said, this is all, so where am I at? So this is gonna be, that house where no one lives. This is gonna be Donna Thurn.
Yeah,
Homebrew.
right.
And then Charlie Brown, and then you
Right.
got Judy Shelton to the east.
So this is all, the storage units, empty lots, an automotive place there. I believe that, isn't that yours and it's empty, just an empty lot?
Yes.
So I mean, it's all, this lot is definitely surrounded more by non-residential. The only house would be this block there.
You know, and I'll just throw this out there. It's probably not the most convenient, but the city does own an industrial lot that it's not 100% developed. I mean, there's no water and sewer out there. There's close electricity, but out there by where we're gonna put the truck parking might be an option for him. Sell off a piece of property. It would be more related to, I mean, outside there where, but it may not be a quick deal either.
No. I mean, my thoughts on it, I wanna work with him. Like he said, he's young, wants to start a business. I wanna work with him. I don't see a big deal. I mean, to the west, you have storage units. South's an elevator shop there. You had Scott's shop over here who's gonna do mechanic work. There's already businesses there. To me, it's not a problem.
I guess I need clarified, what's the point of the zoning board? if they're the ones that are out talking to the citizens and they don't wanna do it, then we make the decision? Is that how that goes?
That's exactly what they would like to know when their recommendations don't get followed.
Yeah, I mean, if they went out and talked to, I mean, I guess I feel like it's their decision. I mean, that they're the zoning board.
I mean, it has to come to you guys because you're.
Right, right, but I mean, I don't wanna contradict them. I mean, we're trying to do so good on doing the differentiation on the land bank, getting separation from the council, not having conflict of
And I mean,
interest.
the biggest thing, just, you know, with dealing with the public and complaints a lot, you know, a lot of the concerns with the zoning, the housing, the trash around, just, you know, everyone's concerned with all the junk everywhere. And I think that it might be viewed as, it could get trashy looking if it's farm equipment or different things like that in the residential areas.
That's kind of why I threw out the idea of out there where we're going, next to where the truck parking would be. I mean, like I said, right now, it's not the most ideal spot, but, because there's not sewer, water, and electricity out there.
But eventually, we plan to have that there.
Right.
You know, water's not that far. Electricity won't be that far when we get the truck parking done.
No, I'm not opposed to that at all, other than we just need to get the truck parking lot done first and make sure we have the footages we need.
Right.
But no.
But I mean, you could, he could theoretically, and really, you're needing a piece of property that is zoned before you can apply for permits, correct?
Right.
So, I mean,
That would all.
and that's not really a land bank issue, that's city owned property.
Right.
So I mean, that would be an option.
How do you feel about that? Do you think that would be a good option for you?
Yeah, I'd be open to it. I mean, there's a lot of ifs and obviously the cost of things, and we'll just have to check it out and see where you guys are at on it and see if we can make something work.
I mean, because I really think probably the zoning board would rather see it somewhere like that than from what your residents down there wanted, right?
Right, and that's really what we took into consideration was the feedback from the neighbors, because, and we put ourselves in that situation too, if we were living there,
Right.
you know.
And we took under consideration also with TJ, we thought, you know, we want people to come back to the community.
Right.
I mean, we don't have housing, we don't see a business come in, say down the future, you may have 2 or 3 employees. You know, we don't know. And we discussed that there, and I said, well, what happens if it don't work, then what, you know? And TJ then he's like, well, we could do the south lot, or we can do, you know, he was willing to work with us, but we went off what the citizens of the community said.
Yeah, I'd just go with the recommendation of the zoning board.
I mean, I think that's where I'm at. We'll go with the recommendation from the zoning board, but I think we need to at least let him look at that property out there and see if it's something that interests him. I mean, I don't have an issue with him, you know, if he wants to put a building out there and buy some ground from us and have a business.
Yeah, I'm fine with that.
I mean, that's the best we could offer anyway, you know, as far as the city. The land bank has nothing.
Okay.
Yeah, I think the zoning board did their due diligence, so I just assume we would go with their recommendation and have that as a potential option after we get the truck parking figured out.
And you might check with John, I mean, I don't know. I watched part of the video of the zoning board. That's the biggest thing, you have to have a piece that's zoned.
Zone commercial or industrial, or that you can operate a business off of. Yeah. Which in this town is not an easy thing to get hold of, so.
I think right now, I agree with council, and that's the best option is over there next to what's going to be the truck parking. And I do believe that council will work with you on this. So I would go with that, but this is council's decision on this, and I do agree with them that we do need to follow the zoning commission's recommendation, because what's the point of having a zoning commission if we don't follow your recommendations? So that is my opinion on the deal, so I will let council decide that. At this moment, do we need to take a vote on it, or will it be just consensus?
Let's just do a vote. But would, I mean, just thought process here, like what about like even leasing? Like, do you have to own it, or could you lease it? Like, do you have to have a building right away, or is it like a 2-year, you know what I'm saying? Like, even if you have the land and you could lease the land, then you could at least get your business started. Maybe not necessarily have the building, but, you know, have that in your 5-year plan. And then eventually, if that is a location that you like and the business is going good and you want to erect a building, then we could look at selling the land, or that even being an option to at least help them get started and it not being like a stop point.
Right, and that's what I was kind of thinking, you know, if we could give him some guidance, you know, are we willing to let him do it so he can at least apply for all of his stuff and see if he can even get because I'm sure it's probably a 2 or 3 month process to get a dealer license.
Yeah.
But we would have to check with John to make sure that we could do that too as
Yeah.
well.
Right.
I'll get with the attorney and I can get a hold of you and we can work some stuff out
Okay, because,
and keep discussing.
right, well, part of it is as well is I have to actually have a physical building. So it's not so much that I have to have a lot, which is what you would think that you would have to have. It's actually just a building. I could actually rent a building on the square, put my business name in the front, and they would give me the license. It's not, having the lot isn't necessarily the issue. The reason why I wanted to buy it in the first place was just so I'd have some commercial property that I could run a business. However, I still would like to buy it as residential property because I just bought a house right up the street, and so I would like to still entertain buying the property as residential. So as far as the land where you're wanting to put the truck parking, I'd be interested in that, but I do have to have some kind of a building, so I don't know how that would all work. But
I'll get with John and we can keep in communication and we'll just keep reporting back to council if that's okay with you.
You know where we're talking about, don't you?
I think so.
Just north of Jim Green's and come back west on the south side.
Okay. Yeah.
Just north of our water treatment plant. All that out to the north is city-owned property.
Mm-hmm.
It's what we've had as our industrial lot for, I don't know, 8 or 10 years.
Something like that, yeah.
But you might go out and take a look at it and see.
Okay. I will. Who do I need to visit with about that to move forward, or?
Me.
Okay. Where does that leave
Or Marshall.
lots as far as being sold as residential?
We'll have to get back with the land bank and they'll just have to approve your purchase. Because I think we already put that in the paper, so it would be good to sell. And we will be having a land bank meeting soon. So once we have that meeting and they approve the sale, then I will get you the deeds and it will be yours.
Okay.
Okay.
Do you know when that meeting is?
Probably be next week sometime. I'll make sure she lets you know, or I'll let you know.
Okay.
Okay.
Do we need to make a motion just to?
Yeah, there
Yeah,
needs to
just
be
to
a
make
motion, just to
sure.
make it legit.
I'd make a motion to accept the recommendation from the zoning board to leave the property as residential on Hooley and South Pearl.
Sorry.
I have a motion and a second on the table. Any more discussion? All in favor, raise your hand. Motion carries. Okay. All right, moving on. Department heads. Do we have anything from Jeff this evening?
No, he's still been out.
Okay. Anybody have any questions, comments, or concerns to pass on to Jamie, to pass on to Jeff this evening?
Power plant deal's going as planned.
As far as I've been told, yes.
Are they still working on it, Jason, do you know?
No, they pulled out. They, fan, muffler, piping, everything's plumbed in, they're gone. And it really looks good.
Do we know what's left on the project, or is it done?
No, it's, I'm trying to think who needs to come in and do the wiring.
Mid-States.
Mid-States needs to come in, thanks. I couldn't think of it. Mid-States needs to come in now and it's their turn, and then we'll see, yeah. But as far as everything's, the fuel's hooked up, it's ready to go.
All right. Any other questions, comments, or concerns for Jeff to hear this evening? Okay, moving on to Water Department. Jason.
Well, go ahead, Jamie, and I was just wanting you guys to see these pictures out there at the ponds. This happened, it must have happened, it was before my time here. But I was wanting you guys just to look at these pictures and get prepared so we get these fixed. The gates, somebody has hit the gates out there. Is she going with it?
She's getting it up.
Oh, okay. And as you, just looking at these gates, which we could get these repaired. It's the ones that, like that one, there's another gate, it's completely ruined. We gotta try to get it out of there. And then that's what divides some of your ponds. And as you can see, all those are bent to open up the different gates to separate your ponds. In case we ever need to shut one down and get the sludge out of it and go to 1 or 2, and then clean out 2, go to 1 and 3, and so on. But I've been just, the lift station was more important in my books, and now since that's done, we can start working on this and getting these where we can get those back to individual if we have to separate them to get them cleaned out and stuff like that. So
those are all the gates that open and shut?
Yep,
Changes for
yep,
certain ponds?
isolate each pond and all that stuff, and yeah.
Are they operational?
No, they're completely.
So they don't
And then the
work
ones I
great.
tried to, I have the last, probably every month I go out there and spray stuff on it and try to use a cheater pipe with a 24-inch, and I just can't budge it.
I will forward you guys the email.
So I was just wanting to let you guys know about those, because I figured eventually, you know, down the road, we probably ought to get those fixed just for sludge removal.
Is that something you guys can all do, Jason, or do we need to?
We can get the other ones without the gates, because that'll have to come in, and probably we'll have to get get the water out. We'll have to cut the concrete out, and then try to get because you'll have to replace the whole thing down in the pit and everything now. But as far as those ones where you've seen we're splitting out, I was going to try to get the loader out there with the heavy duty log chains, grip onto those plates and see if I can't get them out of there, and then if not, we'll just have to put a pig in the lines and start cutting it out, and hopefully those little tractors will slide down in, we can start chipping that away, and then get some stainless steel or aluminum and start get those cut, and hopefully they'll slide back down in that tray. Those we can try to do, but as far as the gate valves, I don't know. I've never have done those. So I just want to keep you in mind with that. It's been there a long time. I haven't really worried about it because I was doing some reading when the last sludge removal was, and then the KRWA came out and they did a sludge test, and so far it's not too bad. And that was a couple 3 years before I even got here. So I don't think it's that big a deal right now, but I just wanted to get you guys aware of that we need to start working on this. So down the road, 10 years, 8 years or whatever, if we need to get that sludge out of there, we can. So I just want you to be aware of it, so I wanted to let you know on that. And here's the water. Got a little list here. The water tower is going to be held off for a while because of permitting. A gentleman from Viking called me and sat there and said that we have to take the antennas down, and I kind of argued about that. I said, well, none of you guys told us about this. That being said, there was another one And so he says, well, now after we get it done, which we'll have to run the plant like you guys know, we'll have to run the plant for a while. But he wanted me to do the testing on it. I said, okay, well, the last time I knew in a different town that the company did their own testing. Well, that's your guys' liability. So I thought, all right. So I sat there and I said, well, send me the deal how to do it, and I will get it done after you're done. Well, I sat there and he sent me a piece of paper, but it didn't have nothing to do with a water tower. It was all underground mains. And I called him back and I said, Bud, this has to do with mains, not water towers. How do I do it? I don't know. You need to find out. I said, okay, I'll find out. So I called KDHE. Well, needless to say, when I got a hold of Alan, it was kind of just like, well, we're getting work on your hood, the roof is fixed or made, we just need to get it on there. And I just need to know how to do this sequence on how to testing. And then all of a sudden he just, whoa, what are you talking about? And I said, well, you told us that we had to do this. And he says, no, I mean, you have to have a permit before you even think about doing this. And I thought, Alan, you didn't tell me that. And Viking didn't tell me this, and also now it's all come to a standstill because now we're waiting on Viking to get all the info to me so I can forward it to KDHE so we get a permit going. So we're on hold there for a while. I'm just letting you know that. Because like I was telling a couple of you that I better be safe than sorry and cover our rear. And so that's why I'd soon just wait. We waited this long, a few more months ain't gonna hurt nothing. And then,
Is that our mess up or is that Vikings mess up?
on which part?
On the not getting the permit?
I think it's all of the above, because Alan should have told me from the get-go when he told us that we needed to get it replaced. And he didn't say nothing about the permits or nothing. So I didn't know anything about it. I thought it was just a routine, fix a radiator on a car. I didn't know you had to have a permit for something like that. So that being said, then they didn't tell me. They knew it, but they didn't tell me because it was like ask forgiveness kind of thing after it was done, is what I'm getting out of it. Well, the only thing I was worried about is if we got it done, and I should never, I guess I shouldn't have called it, but I'm glad I did just for that fact. And then, so it was, when he sat there and said about the permit and everything, and then I just sat there and said, well, I'm sorry I called, but they sat there and didn't tell me that either, because they said in Nebraska, well, we call Nebraska and we get it done a week later. And Kansas takes 5, 4, 6, 8 months to get one. I said, well, what if we got it done, and then we got it inspected again from the state, and they came out there and said, well, you got this replaced. You don't remember you getting a permit. I said, we didn't. And then who knows what could have happened after that. See, I don't know. I just don't want to take that chance.
Yeah, we need to have him back, we need to have him come back.
Yeah.
What, so outside of that, we paid them $36,000 last year?
Yeah, we haven't paid anything this year. And I don't plan on it with you guys. I mean,
Well,
He needs to come back.
yeah, I mean, definitely need to have an update of what's going on.
Yeah, that's a big foobar right there.
It was already supposed to be done.
Well, yeah, you can't tell me that they've done enough of these.
They've already held us off for
and
6
we won't
months.
look at them.
Right.
Well,
Longer
they've held
than they
us
were
off a
supposed to.
year,
Yeah, it's gonna be over a year.
because this was a
Yeah,
project that was
yeah,
supposed to start
yes,
last year.
Yeah.
yeah, and they were just talking, they were telling Jason that Jason had to do all this work, and it was in the agreement that they were gonna be taking care of it. And yeah, there's just a lot of things not going the way, so,
Maybe he can come to the next meeting.
yeah, I'll email him tonight.
That'll be fun.
Yeah. Okay. Anything else, Jason?
Yeah, we'll do the well 2. Everything's looking really good. They put together, they're about a foot away from the wall going out. And then this is where I'm going to turn it over to Ryan and let him start talking to you a little bit how to finish it.
Jason and Price for a variable frequency drive to run the pump. It'll have a transducer on it to, basically monitor the pressure. So if it gets too high, somebody is out there running it, shuts their valve off on their truck, doesn't turn the key switch off, it'll shut it off. If it gets too low, it'll kick it on, you know, it'll know that, but I think the best way to do it is putting a key switch on the outside, you know, where they'll be given a key if they pay their bill. And then there'll be an emergency stop button in case they break the key off. Can't turn the water off because they won't be able to get on the inside of the well house. We don't want them in there. So they'll just be able to hook their hose up, turn the pump on. They can open their valve. There'll be safeties allowing it to stop if need be. So that's what we're coming up with.
That's just a
Anything else,
straight
Jason?
three-phase motor on there for just on and off right now.
Yeah, there's just the motor right there right now. There's no starter to turn it on or off at all. So with exiting 3-inch out of it, it'd be nice to slow it down a little bit. So that'll allow for the, you know, if you just put a regular starter on there, it'd be on
Right.
off, on off,
Right.
on off. This very frequency drive will monitor the pressure. If it gets too high, it'll allow for no screw ups on somebody that's loading out. Hopefully. So that's the plan.
So it's more of a safety issue,
Yes,
safety deal.
yeah, if
so that we don't-
so if somebody goes and turns the valve off and that pump is still running, it'll shut itself off.
Once it hits a certain pressure, it's
Exactly, yeah. and it's-
basically like a
it's-
pressure tank. It builds up the pressure and it's off.
Yeah, there's gonna be no pressure tank, but
Right.
it'll monitor it and allow for minimal screw up, so. That's the best way we can come up with. Is there anything else, Jason?
Not on that
Oh.
part, it's just as soon as we can get
Basically
it, go ahead
just
and get it going, finish it up.
Plumbed out the side of the building, and there'll just be a key switch and an emergency stop, just in case something goes wrong. So,
All those keys will be the same.
they will, I mean, it'll be a pretty universal key, you know, it's not gonna cost very much for the city to run the water, you know. It's
Right.
not saying, you know, someone can go grab a key, buy it from somewhere, put it in there, but, that's just about the best way to do it, I think.
It used to be they had to go inside to turn it on, right?
Yeah.
You had to go
Yeah.
inside.
Where you just left it
Open the valve.
unlocked, yeah,
Yeah.
and open the valve, but
And then we'll just hang a book or something on the outside. I mean, it's still gonna be the honor system.
Yep.
it's still gonna be the honor system. They're just gonna pay, what, per monthly or per year, is that what they do, or
They just pay per
Per load.
load
per
right now.
load? Yeah, and they'll
And
just
then we'll send out a
write
bill.
it down, you know. That's gonna be the cheapest way, unless you were to go with a card system that we already priced, you know.
Ah,
It's
yeah.
just, I mean, you
I
can
think
do all
more
sorts
of my
things,
thing
but-
is that we can just know how much water's going out of there for
Yeah.
Jason's
And
side of it.
that's the reason I like to keep that locked up, because that meter and all that
Having a
stuff in
meter in
there,
there, we can
what a
meter it.
sledgehammer wouldn't do to it, you know?
That's
So I
the
just like to
thing.
keep
I
it
mean,
locked up, because that's pretty expensive, you know?
And we'll know how well our honor system is after the first year.
Yeah, give it a year.
If we sell 1,000,000 gallons, or if 1,000,000 gallons goes through the meter and we only get 500,000 paid for, we know that it's not very good.
Yeah, the electric consumption down there is gonna be very minimal to run that pump.
Right.
It's just, it's costing us more, I think, just running it through the treatment plant, bringing it back, treat it, selling it, a lot more, so.
The meter's inside that little building though.
Yeah.
So- And they're still gonna be able to go in.
No. It'll be, everything will be controlled from outside of the
So how do
building.
they know what to write down for how many gallons they got?
They're just gonna
No.
fill out an approximate number of how many gallons.
I mean, if you got an
they
80
make.
barrel water tank, I mean, or if you got a
That's the way they've been doing it anyway.
Yeah,
500 gallon trailer or whatever.
and we can just
1,000
monitor the gallons that we use down there, and, you know, assuming we won't have to cut back at all, but we can just monitor that,
Something
I
we could
guess.
actually add to our daily rounds, and they could maybe try to look at it daily, if not every other day, just to kind of keep a good track.
Mhm.
It wouldn't take but a couple minutes to check it out.
Yeah, I was just, you know, when Pam needs a bulk reading, we just go down there and read it whenever she needs it. And so, I really just don't want nobody in there messing with that check valve, or the $4,000 meter and all that stuff. I mean, they just, you know,
I think it's best just keep everybody out of there.
so.
I'm,
Council, do you
we
want to
need
make
to
a,
finish the project, so I guess I'm good with it.
Yeah, okay.
council want to make a decision on this bid?
I'd make a motion that we accept the bid from Davis Electrical in the amount of $7,815 for the bulk water.
Second.
I have a motion and a second on the table. Any more discussion? All in favor, raise your hand. Motion carries. 4 yes and 1 abstain. Thank you. Anything else, Jason?
One more and then I'll be quiet. Well 3, had Elizabeth from DWR get a hold of me after I talked to her about well 2. And everything's good on that, but I forgot, both of us kind of dropped the ball on it. And I have to get a replacement meter for well 3. I got John Steele from KRWA today, and we tested that meter on well 6 and that one on well 3, and that one is 88% lost. And so we have to get that corrected and get a new meter. That being said, you have to have so much of a long pipe due to their specs, that we'll have to take the meter out of that building to have it and put a straight piece of pipe in there where that is, and go down outside and dig a pit and put the meter outside to have their specs, because that's one of the older wells, and now it's never been changed. So when I get ready to do this, we have to get a new meter put in there. John was telling me that we could choke that down to 4-inch to save money on a meter and still push the gallons we need out to, but we have to have it outside between the sidewalk and that park and then the building. So I gotta have it out there now. But 88% loss, that's part of the reason why I think the figures are not matching like they should be.
You have to go with a certain spec water meter then, Jason, is that right?
Yeah, just like the one we did down there, except it needs to be 4 instead of 3.
Oh.
But I'll get that, I'm just letting you aware of it, because I'll probably bring it to you next meeting and get more of what we need, and then I'll get you a price on all that.
So they want the meter outside?
Yeah.
Is it because of the distance of?
The distance between the check and the meter, we only have this much, well, you have to have about like
Right.
that now. Because it's, from what she said, it cavitates and doesn't make your meter read correctly, being so close together.
Is that the one about?
You know, I'm kind of hoping the grandfather thing would kick in, but I guess not, so.
Okay.
Putting that meter outside, is that gonna require quite a bit of work, you think? Or
I'm just, again, digging it up to find the raw water, the new raw water line going to the nitrate plant. We dig it up, put it right down in there. So just dig it up. We have to get a big can, and then just then go from there. Put the meter down there. So.
Okay. All right. Anybody have any more questions, comments, or concerns for Jason under Water Department? Moving on, Street and Park Department. Jason.
It's just Christmasing it and getting some equipment fixed up for next year's summer projects, and gonna go back to sweeping some streets again here pretty quick.
Okay. Anybody have any questions, comments, or concerns for Jason under the Street and Park Department? Okay, moving on. Police Department, Chief Perez.
Everything.
Anybody have any questions, comments, or concerns for Chief Perez this evening? Moving on to Fire Department, Chief Sanders.
I don't have anything.
Anybody have any questions, comments, or concerns for Chief Sanders this evening? Okay, moving on, City Administrator, Jamie.
I have things. We have started getting the CMB licenses in. Kansas and White's have both submitted theirs, so I need motions to get their certificates sent out so they can be ready for 2022.
Can we do them both at once?
Separate, please.
Make a motion to approve Kansas Co-op's CMB for 2022.
I have a motion and a second on the table. Any more discussion? All in favor, raise your hand. Motion carries.
Make a motion to accept CMB for 2022.
Second.
I have a motion and a second on the table. Any more discussion? All in favor, raise your hand. Motion carries.
I also have the contract for Adams Brown to continue to do our services for 21, 22, and 23, if you guys are okay with that. Make a motion.
I make a motion to approve Adams Brown for 22, 23, and
21, 22, and 23.
21, 22.
Second.
I have a motion and a second on the table. Any more discussion? All in favor, raise your hand. Motion carries.
That's it.
That's it? Are you sure? Maybe?
So,
Okay. All right, do we have anything from,
Oh, hold on, I got a question. Did we find out anything about the trailer down at the,
yeah, I'm still pressing. The guy said he sent an email. They're supposed to be here this week. He said he sent an email, and I've went through the city email, and I can't find anything. I've tried to talk to Jonna, and I've tried to get a hold of the other lady. So, yes and no.
the trailer down by the power plant that the city owns that they were wanting us to sign back over to?
The guys, they got it out of there, and they started, Eric came and got the backhoe and started helping them dig up the test sites.
Right, but the trailer's still there.
But see, they're wanting,
Well, they got it moved out.
Right.
yeah, right.
They wanna
See,
take,
we
they wanna
own,
take possession of it, and we have the title.
we have the title for that trailer, and they want us to sign it over to them, but we don't know if we own it or if they own it.
Oh, okay, I
We definitely own it.
Yeah, we own it. We have a
Well,
title.
yeah, because we got the title somewhere.
right, we got the title.
We're trying to figure out where exactly it is.
Yeah, I can't find any.
That's what that means.
Yeah, we definitely
I
own it.
tried calling
we
the
own
guy
it.
back
An
today.
email
and I
10 years ago
couldn't-
doesn't mean anything.
10 years ago. It was like when Natalie Clark was here.
I mean, if they were concerned about it, it's just ridiculous. I can't even believe they'd even contact us for it.
Yeah.
Well, that's my whole thing. I mean, if,
Why is it a priority now when it wasn't
Yeah,
back then?
That's
So, yeah,
exactly right.
Yeah, so I'm still trying to get documentation.
right, okay. All right. Anything else?
No,
Okay, do we have anything from John?
no.
Anybody have any questions, comments, or concerns to pass on to John this evening? Okay, moving under old business. We do have a invoice right here that you should have received about INA alerts system cameras.
I do have a question for the property code. I've tried to contact Chad several times about scheduling the rest of our house demolition. Are you guys good with just waiting for when they can fit us in? Or would you like me to maybe start looking at other people that can get in and get it done?
Are we settled up with them on all of them?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we have the 808 North Broadway and the 2 on 5th Street that we're still waiting.
well, the one on
Well,
Fifth Street was gonna get tore down by Regals.
Yeah, the one on 5th Street, Regals, is supposed to tear down too.
But that isn't our deal, right?
Well, it is, but,
Well, I mean, it's happening from our pressure, but it's not,
right,
we're not arranging that.
right.
He hasn't given us any time frame at all, Chad.
I kept getting after harvest, and then I sent an email a couple days ago and I haven't got a response.
We'll probably at least get numbers from, I think, Stone and Choleric too. I mean, we should at least
They
have.
probably looked out huge anyway too, but yeah, that was fine with me.
But, I mean, I guess see if he gets back from the other.
Okay.
Did anybody have anything else under old business they wish to discuss this evening?
Just the INA, the cameras, I don't know if you guys.
Do we want to take the bulk water project off, or do we wait until they're done with the? I mean,
Wouldn't
we
matter,
approved the
maybe
last
leave it
step.
on there. Yeah.
Leave it
Fine.
on until it's done.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
You were saying?
I don't know if you guys have, I know you guys discussed it a little bit last meeting. Do you guys want to discuss the cameras more? Marshall and I kind of talked about where to take the funds out of. I know he talked about maybe trying to take some of it out of the police department budget.
I've got some questions on whether we should spend that much or any on cameras, from citizens, just as far as, we need to finish up some of the projects we've started and keep addressing these streets, they're happy with that. But, got some projects we need to finish up already, start another one.
Well, I'm not voting for it.
Whether you do, I don't know, whether it's all or none, you know what I mean? Whether you're gonna cover the whole town, every exit, not at all. So, I don't know if you can just pick a few different spots, but it sure be nice. But whether we can afford it or not, whether it's top priority,
I don't hate the idea at all, but I think it's too much money right now.
I think as it's been stated that we do have quite a few projects that we need to complete first before we start spending more money. If we decide that this is what council wants to do, I think that we need to kind of pull back a little bit. Just finish some of the things that we've already started. I do think it's a good idea. I'm not sure exactly whether we want to cover everything all at once or just pick and choose like you've stated, but I'm of the opinion that we should hold off for it right now, but it is your decision.
This is just an idea. We're getting to the end of the year and we could analyze our budgets where we have some to where if, for instance, the police department had it within their budget and Tori was on board for next year, and you could put it on a 5-year payout and it's money that's already budgeted, it's worth analyzing. It's not digging up another $75,000 if we already have it budgeted, and as the technology's advanced, we're gonna allocate the money we already have allocated to new things, but it's money we already have budgeted. It's a good time of year to look at that and analyze it because we're getting ready to finish up a year. Just something to think about. 30 more days.
Sure.
She's full staffed. Well, yeah. As close as we've done in a while. But anyway, just an idea. That wouldn't be digging up a bunch of new expense if you've already budgeted for it. Just something to think about. And critique it down. It's a huge number.
Okay, any more discussion on that?
I will I can send out an updated, excuse me, copy of what we have left in each line item, or not line item, but each fund, if you guys would like to see that. If that would help make the decision, we can discuss it next time. But I guess you guys
I'm
kind of-
saying I'm not voting for it, it's,
you guys
we're gonna pay for it either way, one way or another,
Budget statement.
regardless of the account. I'd just rather, if we're gonna spend money, spend it on the road and stuff like that, it's my opinion. I mean,
Police department budget doesn't pay for roads.
no. I'd just rather see money elsewhere.
Okay. We have an executive session, 5 minutes for attorney-client privilege here. So, entertain a motion on that.
Everybody at the table. So moved.
Second.
Have a motion and a second on the table. Any more discussion? All in favor, raise your hand. Motion carries. We'll resume at 7:56. Thank you. Call this meeting back to order. I would entertain a motion to extend the executive session for another 10 minutes.
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second on the table. Any more discussion? All in favor, raise your hand. Motion carries. We'll resume at 8:07. Call this meeting back to order. Unless there's any more business this evening, I'd entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved. Second.
I have a motion and a second on the table. Any more discussion? All in favor, raise your hand. Motion carries. Meeting adjourned.